Hello, my name is David Osborne. I am the coordinator for methods of administration at the secondary level here in Illinois. I want to thank you for joining us to learn a little bit more about the designation of coordinators, which is part of our information on methods of administration, also known as MOA. We'll be covering what some of the requirements are of the federal legislation that is a part of the MOA review. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to contact us at moa@isb.net. But thank you once again for viewing this information, and please let us know if you have any questions. So as far as the designation of coordinators, which is part of the administrative requirements, uh, as the civil rights coordinators that are required for each district are the Title IX coordinator and the Section 504 coordinator. And both of those fall under the purview of methods administration as we conduct reviews, but it's also just a requirement based off of these pieces of federal legislation. As far as some of the requirements for the designation of coordinator, districts must have at least one employee that is designated and authorized to coordinate Title IX and Section 504 compliance. They can be distinct individuals, two people serving um, each of these roles, or they could be the same person, just as long as there is a person that is designated to coordinate all of these activities at each district. Coordinators must be designated and actually serving at all times. So for instance, if they had to take a leave for any purpose, a new coordinator would have to be designated in the interim. This person coordinated Title IX must be referred to specifically as the Title IX coordinator. So when you are issuing notice of non-discrimination, which can be, you can learn more about in a different video. They must specifically be designated as a Title IX coordinator. Now, for larger school districts, it may be appropriate to assign multiple coordinators, or even have a point of contact that serves as a coordinator at each school within the district. Additional considerations for designating coordinators. First off, the coordinators must be able to act independently and conduct investigations. They should avoid any potential conflicts of interest, so that they are able to uh, use their best judgment when making these decisions. Some roles that might present a conflict of interest, but not necessarily, include general counsel, dean of students, superintendent, principal, and athletic directors. Just a few more considerations. Coordinators must have the appropriate authority to coordinate the recipient's civil rights compliance. So typically, they must be able to have proper authority to make decisions, and conduct without concern for retaliation, for instance. So typically, you would not want necessarily a teacher, for instance, to need to serve this role because they might be exercising oversight over their administrators. Coordinators must be protected from any unlawful retaliation. Retaliation as a result of a complaint or investigation would be in violation of the civil rights laws. As far as visibility, for these coordinators, it is required that they are reported on. So recipients must notify the school community of the coordinator's name, title, office address, telephone, number, and email address, including in the notices of non-discrimination. So as I mentioned, if you watch the video on notice of non-discrimination, it'll give some more detail, but all of these are required information that must be included in notices of non-discrimination. School community must include applicants for admission and employment, parents or legal guardians, employees, and all unions or professional organizations holding collective bargaining agreements with the recipient. The U.S. Department of Education collects and publishes coordinators' names and contact information, and there's a place to update that information on the U.S. Department of Education's website. Coordinators training. As far as the training, subrecipients must ensure that coordinators are appropriately trained. So there are distinct levels of training available, some specifically for coordinators, some for mandatory reporters, or for all staff. There are separate and distinct roles within Title IX requirements. So it is required to ensure that each person serving a role in Title IX has the appropriate training in order to fulfill their duties in that designated role. Coordinators should possess comprehensive knowledge in all areas over which they have responsibility, including the recipient's policies and procedures. And so not only must they be aware of the Title IX required activities, but they must also know specifically the policies and procedures of the subrecipient or the district. Some of the specific requirements can be seen here. They must receive training on the definition of sexual harassment, the scope of the recipient's education program or activity, how to conduct an investigation and grievance process, including hearings, appeals, and informal resolution processes as applicable, how to serve impartially, including by avoiding prejudgment of the facts at issue, conflicts of interest, and bias. Materials used to train Title IX coordinators must not rely on sex stereotypes and must promote impartial investigation and adjudications of formal complaints of sexual harassment. And all materials used to train Title IX coordinators must be made publicly available to the recipients on the recipient's website, or if the recipient does not have the website, these materials must be made available upon request. So this was part of the new 2020 um, final rule update, is that now all materials must be publicly available and posted on a website if the district has one. So that was just a brief overview of the designation of coordinators. If you do have any information, or I'm sorry, any questions about designation of coordinators, please feel free to reach out to us at moa@isb.net or call 217-524-4832. My name again is David Osborne, and I serve as the Methods Administration Coordinator at the secondary level for Illinois State Board of Education. Thank you.